In this episode, we have a used set of the Buffalo Bags M1 Carpet Ride. The Buffalo M1. Hold on. Where was I? The Buffalo M1. On the front, we have the ever popular 8.5 speed fabric. I think they rated it at 12 because their boards are so fast. This is really about an 8.5. These are pretty well broken in. On the back side, we have the 4 speed. This same fabric that was on the torches, but in black. Same fabric that is on my Infiltrator. And just so happens that I have made a test bag a while back. Same fabrics, just different colors. Probably the same fill. I think it's the same fill that I use. They got a nice small closing stitch here. I want to measure that real quick. It looks to be about 2 inches. Yep, 2 inches. I believe these were done by hand. This is the non-stamps before they got their stamps going. It's one of the OG bags, I guess you could call it. They call it carpet. Got a nice little tank in the background to signify the M1 Abrams. I do like how they did the M and the 1 mixed together with the tank tread kind of deal for the 1. Easy to read, easy to see. Mostly blue, which is good. Sort of a hexagon-y, not quite camo yet, but it looks like camo, like a speckle camo in hexagon. Nice little shadow, and their logo, which unfortunately the B is totally blended in with the tank, so it looks like a different letter. You gotta have that stand out. Here we are up close. Single stitch or single seam. Pretty short back tack. We got a little tail action going here. These are all done by hand. Corners look good. Probably a pretty playable bag. It's nice and soft. These will get really, really flexible and soft the more you play with them. Like any bag, but these especially. Let's go ahead and get inside these bags. Give me a little fast motion action. This should be pretty quick. There it is. As predicted, single fill. Let me get the focus. Same fill that I use. This has been worn down a little bit just from play. Same fill as the assault or fire torch. Same fill as Infiltrator. Let's get it in the bowl. Here we have it. Hand sewn, hand cut, and falling apart in my hands because that's how it goes when bags get used. That's why you want to double stitch it. And they did. It is double stitched. They took my advice. Good on them. Pretty small opening. We'll measure that opening right now, and we'll do it again later, of course. But 2 inches. Pretty tiny. There's the fill. Pretty well worn in and lacking the dust that was in the cornhole scenarios, thank goodness. Let's get close in now. Some good looking stuff. Nice and slick. Nice shape. Pretty well worn in. Like this is at a good stage of its life. This is when you're probably going to get the best performance, and it only gets better as the bag gets looser and the fill gets shinier as it buffs itself. That's why you can't just cheat when it comes to breaking in bags. Like you can get the fabric soft, but that's not going to polish the fill. You got to keep throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing and throwing to get that nice kind of soft edge and get the fill broken in too. It's not just fabric that needs to get soft. Like people that put this relaxed material, it's not going to soften the pellets. You got to play. There's no getting around playing cornhole. You can't get better just by putting your bags in the dryer. A little friendly advice. play with the bags you want to throw. Here we go, we're all close up on the inside of the bag, the stitches here. This was sewn with a Juki twin needle machine. Starting here, looks like a 3-stitch back tack, all done by hand. Going around, got a little anomaly, little repair action. Looks like they wanted to make that corner just a little tighter right there because there's another back tack in that stitch. Coming around the bend. Good tension. Let's take a look at the back side. Red's hard to see. Little bump. Not bad. It's pretty good. Pretty darn good. You can go insane trying to get the perfect tension. Maybe I have. If you look closely right here, which we are doing, see that little yellow line? I'm sure you've seen when they make Instagram posts of their sublimations, you'll see a little yellow line like that on their print. That is their guide. What she's doing is lining up the outside needle with that line. So that way you don't have to draw. That's why there's no draw marks on here. You don't have to take time to draw. So she's lining up the outside needle, and then the inside needle is your main seam. It's a pretty narrow gauge. I think it's 1/8 inch. Yeah, 1/8 inch gauge. I have a twin needle myself, but it came with like 3/8 inch gauge. It was like way the hell out here. It's just too wide and I couldn't get it to work right. But they got it, they nailed it with this one. That looks great. Looks like a 2-stitch back tack. I think their machine had the smaller computer. It's got automatic thread cutting. Nice machine. A little bit of a rat's nest going on here. Whoops. Again, that 2-inch opening. Just over 2. And here you can see the bumps from the closing stitch. We're gonna just measure that. Just under 2 as well. So like they're taking it to the wire here. Let's go on the side that's easier to see. Edge of the opening, edge of the closing stitch. Edge of the opening, edge of the closing stitch. So the stitch itself is inside the hole. They might want to widen that up just a hair. They could widen up their opening, the hole a little bit too. Maybe they have, I don't know. It just makes it easier to flip. If you're just trying to do aesthetics with a smaller hole and a smaller stitch, I don't think it matters. Let's get a measurement going on the main template here. 6 and a little bit more than 6 1/4. A 1/16 more than 6 1/4. I'm not doing fractional math at this time. Same. Same. Yeah. Pretty close. Corners are a little pointier, probably a 1.3 inch. Uh-oh, lost my monitor. 1.3 inch. Nice size overall. They got this here cut manually beforehand, and maybe they cut it. I think they press in larger sheets with their bigger press, then cut, because they might use a roller cutter here. This corner here is a little janktified. So press in a square and cut the corner off. There's that yellow line. It works. I came up with that idea a long time ago. In my head it worked. Told them about it, and they got the means to make it happen. So they did, and you know what? It works. Cool. This one's for you bag makers. 2-inch hole. Now this fabric's super broke in, but I'm telling you what, when this stuff's new, that 2-inch hole is not nice. M1 carbureted. Let's get this close-up look at some of the aspects of this bag. Nice sublimation. There's that closing stitch, single seam stitch. One, two, three. 1, 2, or 3 back tacks. Let's try and measure the stitch length. This is gonna be tough. You gotta get everything in focus. 2 millimeter stitch length. One I just closed. You know what? I don't even know what my own stitch length is. It's probably the same. Might be 2.5. Let's find out, folks. Mine is 2.5 to 3. This backside's holding up pretty good. Feels good. Still performs as expected. Just the backside of the closing stitch. Thread's totally hidden. And there you go, folks. See, I'm talking about that logo just completely fading in. Can't see it. That's a bit too small. I mean, that's something you could have put right here in between the tank, really big. That would look pretty neat. Well, overall impressions of the bag. It's well built, twin stitched, nice machine, good thick thread. Materials are industry standard. Slow side a 4, fast side an 8 to an 8.5. Single pellet fill. The fill in these bags is nicely broken in. These are their earlier bags. They've had some play time. As I was saying before, with break-in, it's not just about breaking in the fabric, breaking in the fill too. It's going to buff itself like a stone tumbler type of thing where it just keeps polishing itself. So these are at a good break-in stage. Material's nice and soft. They're not going to fall apart. Yeah, the earlier bags. My one gripe is, I guess, on the design. You can't see the tip of the logo. Maybe move this here, make it big, and put it underneath ride. Buffalo bags. They got stamped now. I think these have a comp stamp now. Maybe, I'm not going to look, but this was some of the earlier bags. So the purchase of these bags at the time helped them grow and build into an ACL Pro company. All in all, I'll give these bags a thumb up. Way to go, Buffalo.